Do you think it is sad when an innocent Palestinian child dies?
Candace, I cry every day.
Now, why do you believe that Hollywood was created by the CIA?
Well, before we say Hollywood was created by the CIA, I guess I should clarify. And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of terrified. I think this is gonna be the last day that I cover it because we're getting close to something that is very dangerous. I mean, I'm not gonna go away.
I'm not gonna go away.
The political pundit Candace Owens erupted on the scene in 2017.
Obviously, you guys know that I hit the scene in 2017, and I had a laser-sharp focus on the Black community.
The Caribbean American, born in White Plains, New York, immediately captured the attention of a white conservative base that desperately craved the Black voice for their agenda.
Like when I was in college, we just had bathroom signs. I never thought that this would be a fight that the left would take on.
But I think it is wrong for our society to keep perverting things.
What thrusted her into notoriety was her takes, which were unprecedented, coming from the mouth of a Black woman.
With all of the money in the world, would you choose to live in an all-Black neighborhood? I want you to think about that. Whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, would you choose to live in an all-Black neighborhood? Black Americans representing 13% of the population, and we can actually make that smaller. Let's say 6% of the population, let's talk about specifically Black men, account for 51% of all of the murders in America.
She jumped from panel to panel, college campus to college campus, sharing what some would say radical views on everything from marriage.
Believe atheists can get married?
I think atheists get married because they want a tax break. I don't see the point in an atheist getting married.
To Black on Black crime.
That is a fact. It is a fact that people get very angry when you say it.
To abortion.
Could you imagine if you refocused your energy on the 17, 18 million Black babies that have been aborted since 1973?
These positions often put her at odds with the Black community, but were championed by white conservatives.
I said, this is the Democrat plantation, but I meant what I said.
Early in her career, she often came across as radical right and sometimes downright racist.
This is proof that Candace Owens does not like us.
This mugshot, and I went,
Look.
That's kind of cool.
Huh? How is that cool? He is a villain, allegedly. Candace.
Mugshot. He looks hard. He looks rock and roll. He looks like...
Huh? It's cool, but let it be a Black man up there. You're going to be like, oh, he was such a criminal. He was such a criminal.
For years, Candace Owens has had a rather lopsided relationship with the Black community for several reasons other than her opinion.
Have you ever dated a Black man before?
Yeah, I dated Black men.
Her marriage to a white man was the first point of contention for some who perceived it as aligning with anti-Blackness.
For me personally, I never thought of my husband as a race. It's just very interesting to me that see people go, she's married to a white man. When I look at my kids, I'm not like, oh, my kids are mixed. I married the person that it made the most sense for me to marry.
Her comments about the marriage only added fuel to the fire.
It's difficult for me to find a partner that was a challenge to me. You know, the challenge that I needed, whether you want to say an academic challenge, whatever it is, with my same interests. People tend to marry their IQ.
Candace's marriage would not be the only relationship people would consider a strong sign of her anti-Blackness. Another reason is Candace is a huge supporter of Make America Great Again, which leads people to ask this question.
I am answering your question.
Which period was America great that we're trying to replicate? Which era was it? Tell me.
I think... I'll answer your question. I'm ready to answer your question. Here's the thing that you guys are forgetting. America was actually one of the first. Slavery was all over the world. All over the world. America was. I'm not saying it's okay. So why are you saying oh?
Amen.
America was one of the first countries.
I want to like you so bad.
In 2019, a story arose off of an old Owens take of she never experienced racism. It was discovered in 2008. She filed a discrimination suit where she was awarded $37,000.
And she claims there's no racism, but she sued colleges with the NAACP and got hundreds of thousands of dollars claiming racism.
Recently, she shared her truth on this incident.
They're like, Candace said racism doesn't exist. If you go find that headline of Candace says racism doesn't exist, they didn't put it in
quotation marks because I never said it. They were like, Candace said racism doesn't exist because she's quote unquote never been a slave. The words never been a slave came out of my mouth, but I never said racism doesn't exist. The media knew that black people were not going to go watch the speech or try to find the original speech.
But by far, the biggest spectacle she was a part of was the infamous White Lives Matter shirt.
Kanye West, now Ye, was not the only person wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt at the Paris Fashion Week. His friend and our friend Candace Owens was standing right next to him.
It is, without question, easily the most iconic thing that I've ever done in my career.
Candace Owens showed up to a fashion show in Paris rocking clothing that read, White Lives Matter.
Why did you do that? You did it together. And what do you think of the response?
What it offered was a stunning commentary on the hypocrisy of the society that we live in. For years, we were told that Black Lives Matter was not an exclusionary phrase. The result of Black Lives Matter has been white supremacy, assuming that Black Americans were stupid and emotional and would loot and riot their own communities to fulfill a false narrative about policing.
The White Lives Matter incident further widened the rift between her and the black community.
It makes them so mad because there is actually in this country a hatred toward white people. It is undeniable because there's a vicious narrative around that somehow Black Americans are suffering from policing and therefore white lives can't matter. They do. It's obvious. Kanye was correct.
Uncle Tom became a common term used by African Americans to describe Candace.
Because they showed up thinking that I was anti-black because, I don't know, they read EliteDaily.com or something weird.
Tell you that the party's completely switched.
Candace's relationship with the black community would fluctuate throughout the years.
We obviously know that people did not like me tonight, but you were like, I'm going to be the one person that raises my hand.
I would say not like you, just have a difference of opinion. So it's great to hear you, and you've changed my thought pattern on some things.
In the 2020 elections, Candace found some unlikely allies among black voters who agreed with her critique of the Democratic Party's approach to African American voters. This approach was finding popular entertainers whose message is not politically appropriate.
I would definitely not say that Sexy Red, the artist, is an example of black excellence, but perhaps Kamala Harris and Joe Biden think that she is.
The biggest culprits of this scenario, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, snappity snap, snap.
We are weakening America. That's really what we should be talking about. This is a weakening of American society.
I'm trending on Twitter right now because black people are angry that they agree with me on my Megan Thee Stallion stance.
A back and forth occurred between Candace and Cardi B after Candace implied that Cardi is illiterate.
There are way more intellectual black Democrats you could have sat down with, yet you chose an illiterate rapper, because that's what she is. She's illiterate.
Cardi B would go on to share a text that would take a shot at Candace's personal life and marriage.
She shares this photoshopped tweet and that says that my husband had an affair with my brother. Completely wild, completely inappropriate, and she knows she's lying.
In return, Candace will go on to threaten to sue Cardi B.
I am deeply protective over my family. She's gonna get sued for that, plain and simple. I don't play games with that kind of stuff. When I say something like she's toxic to culture, the reason she gets so worked up and she starts spiraling is because she knows it's real.
Even at a time where Owens began to gain more support with blacks, her comments were met with strife from others.
I don't know what you're talking about with two-spirit people. Is this like a Native American tribe, like high smoking and talking about your spirit?
Her act caught the attention of a man with comparable critiques, and this connection will be one for the books.
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't...
One character she's had an odd relationship with is Ben Shapiro. The popular political pundit has had a history connected to racist comments and views that align with the Nationalist Party.
United States, but problems of racism or problems of sexism. The way those get alleviated is people making better choices over time.
Ben Shapiro runs one of the top conservative platforms, The Daily Wire. He reached out to Candace to accompany him on the platform with her unpopular views. He learned a way to use Owens' blackness as a weapon.
As I told you yesterday, I was attending the debates live. What an honor it was. I did not expect them to be nearly as spicy as they were.
He utilized her in a way that Fox utilizes most black guests, by designating them as a token or for false confirmation for their sometimes raucous ideals.
I've been fascinated by hoes. The hoe-apocalypse that we are facing, it's amazing to follow these women and the way that they think. And chief among them right now is Ariana Grande.
Maybe what soured this relationship is Candace became a pundit that wasn't as cooperative as they might have hoped, and their relationship was grieved with disagreement.
I love the way that you and Ben Shapiro are able to disagree, but then I guess still have a business relationship. Because I saw him recently tell you, I think it was maybe a few months ago, he told you to quit over your Israel coverage, your Palestine-Israel coverage.
Though this may be the oddest relationship she's publicly involved in, one thing's for sure. Candace would use her voice on the platform to relay some information that would shake the internet.
So this new lawsuit just came out that shows tons of evidence that P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, has been running a sexual blackmail operation very much like Jeffrey Epstein, but in the rap and music industry for basically 30 years.
She played a huge role in a newfound conspiracy that went viral online connecting Michael Jackson and P. Diddy.
You're not going to believe this, but there is, in fact, a Diddy and Michael Jackson connection. All right, so within those docs, and this is where it gets relevant, there is one man that is named as being the person that can do the cleanups, right? This is the guy that you are supposed to call if you get into any sort of a scenario. Mr. Combs instructs his staff to always contact Mr. Muhammad, that is Fahim Muhammad, if they are ever pulled over by the police in Miami or California. And upon information and belief, this is regarding the shooting that took place at Chalice Recording Studios. Again, he is alleging that Diddy and his son shot someone. And after that shooting, the documents say explicitly that Mr. Muhammad spoke with the LAPD. And what we are seeing there is that you call this guy and this guy will make it disappear and the media will report whatever the incident is in a capacity that covers up the crime, allegedly.
A particular bodyguard connected to P. Diddy was one of the few with Michael Jackson at the time of his death.
This was all thanks to Mr. Muhammad's connections within law enforcement. The cleanup guy, Mr. Fahim Muhammad, was also on the scene when Michael Jackson died.
While Diddy's name has been dragged rampant as of yet, Owens' omissions penetrated levels, especially when connecting his case to the mysteries of other celebrities. Owens could be barking up the wrong tree.
Because that's kind of a big first job to have. You're 21 years old and you're protecting the king of pop. What exactly are his qualifications?
She showed her awareness of the fact by showing a reluctance to continue to report on the Diddy situation.
And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of terrified. I think this is gonna be the last day that I cover it because we're getting close to something that is very dangerous, I believe.
Up until recently, a lot of times when Candace would go viral, it would be for something people would consider anti-black. But her more recent battle is turning out to be the straw that might break the camel's back.
Hamas. So we just saw that I did condemn Hamas. And regarding the academic discussion...
No, you didn't. I'm sorry. No, you made a moral equivalency between Hamas and Gaza.
Candace Owens had Rabbi Barclay on as a guest to go over past and present comments she's made against a certain powerful community.
But you didn't. You said it's an unholy rabbi and his had daughter.
A few things stuck out in this back and forth. There was absolutely no restraint on Candace Owens' part, which was what the rabbi was looking for.
I just want to pause it. You said it's a hate that mutates.
Correct.
So your belief then is that the definition of anti-Semitism can necessarily change. Is that correct?
It's not just my belief. It is the commonly accepted understanding in both the Jewish and academic worlds.
Okay. So I would just say off the bat, I do not accept that definitions can just mutate. And I'm saying not just about Jewish people. I think that we have to have a concrete definition to work with because then you can just update and say, actually, I've changed that. And
what I am saying to you is that the entire world and scholars about anti-Semitism recognize that it is a unique hate.
Instead of possibly being a public apology, it turned into an on-air display of show and prove.
But give us what you are saying the current definition of anti-Semitism is today. That would be very helpful.
The current definition of anti-Semitism today has to do with what the feelings are.
I condemned what Hamas did. So let's just show that clip of what I said.
I have seen every single person, including myself, condemn what happened on October 7th. Because who wouldn't condemn terrorism? It's obvious. Who would not condemn innocent Israelis dying? But if you then say that it is also sad when an innocent Palestinian child dies, suddenly this is pro-Hamas, or you need to say, even when you're talking about how sad it is that a child dies, you need to button that statement by saying, but that child was a human shield. That's not going to be my response.
Do you think it is sad when an innocent Palestinian child dies?
Candace, I cry every day.
So what about my statement of saying that I also cry for Palestinian children is wrong to you if you also admit it is sad when Palestinian children die?
It's painful, but it is not in any way, shape, or form morally equivalent to October 7th.
The rabbi was very open of his disappointment in Candace Owens.
And I am extremely, extremely disappointed that not once in our conversation did I hear you take responsibility for what you said.
And Candace did not give a fuck.
I have faith in my audience. They know who I am. They know what I have said and in what context I have said it. I have a huge Jewish following. You watch my show, you're going to get offended. And I am always going to call out wrongness when I see it.
She even doubled down.
Once we pulled the clips of me saying the exact opposite of what he claimed that I said, I thought there was no way that he was going to double down on it, but he did.
The argument might have not even been the worst of the story. In the next Daily Wire episode, Candace revealed a secret about her relationship with Kanye West,
who I would say were definitively making threats against him. And so I had more knowledge than the public had when he shared this tweet.
Turns out, people from certain groups were threatening Kanye, and Candace was one of the few that was aware.
Text message reads, I'm going to help you one of a couple of ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based in fact and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to Zombieland forever. Playdate with the kids just won't be the same. Is that a normal tweet? I will ask you guys, or somebody in your life, and Harley Pasternak, yes, he is Jewish, to send to you. He's supposed to be a trainer.
She has recently been speaking on her safety and the stability of her future.
And I quite literally was facing a threat that everything was going to be over because how dare I say that? I have absolutely no right to say that.
What's interesting about this is the reason she is concerned about what may happen moving forward is because of her experience in the past. In her last appearance on the Daily Wire, she expressed that she was confronted before about past comments taken out of context about the J community. She spoke about how she was forced to meet up with an old man who held the key for her to get her reputation back.
There was this very strange meeting that occurred. And I want to be clear that I didn't understand the meeting because the individuals were speaking in Hebrew. My understanding going into it was that once I spoke to this individual, things would be clarified and then I could just go on living and my reputation would pretty much be restored.
Apparently what it seemed like she was trying to convey is that this may be a situation beyond her means.
But I want to be clear that the threat that Candace, this could be over at any moment for you, don't you get out of line again by, saying something that you never actually said, but don't make us have to threaten you again. That I still always felt over me because it was just a very scary thing to go through.
When speaking what nationalists would consider patriotic views, she was safer more than anything. But what would change the tides for Candace is going against the core Republican values, which places Israel's interest almost over America's.
I'm going to be honest with you because everybody's noticing it. Every single political commentator in America, every single one of them knows this, that if you do not step out and say things that are radically pro-Israel, or if you are too quiet on certain narratives and they want you to be radically pro-Israel, you can lose everything. That's truth.
The Daily Wire holiday party might be spicy this year, with commentators Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens continuing to feud over the proper response to the conflict between Israel and Hamas.
Yes, the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt. I can't she still works for my company. And I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not called sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
On March 22nd, rumors begin to circulate that Daily Wire has cut ties with Candace Owens.
Daily Wire and Candace Owens have ended their relationship.
She was quick to confirm.
Hey guys, it's Candace. The rumors are true. I am free. Welcome to my locals page. So much to talk about. Obviously, I'm going to take a couple of weeks here just to rebuild and to refocus and to create something that is actually mine and something that can't be threatened or taken because it belongs to me. I can't tell you enough how much your support has meant to me over the years.
People did not hesitate to point out the timing of this termination.
Candace has been quite vocal in an anti-war stance both on Ukraine and has carried over a lot of that consistency to the war between Israel and Gaza. It was only when she started critiquing Israeli war strategy in Gaza and talking about civilian casualties did all of this come to the surface.
Her interaction with the rabbi was quickly mentioned.
What we do know, though, is that it came almost immediately after a major fracas, I guess you could say, with the ADL.
Though the media would report it was for a statement that Rabbi Shmuley enjoys drinking Christian blood. Candace Owens may have a tumultuous future ahead of her. Regardless of the recent surge of acceptance among blacks, some will never accept her because of past statements and her marriage. Her base of white conservatives is fragile because you can never appease nationalists and black activists in the same breath.
Says, quote, I do not know Nick Fuentes, you already know that. What I do know is that everyone can see what you guys are doing to me. Your pattern is well established and the world is waking up against it. My crime is having stood up for myself against your network of smears.
With conservatives turning against her and the black community not fully on her side, what will happen to Candace Owens as she faces her biggest threat?
Thank everybody who has been on this journey with me, people that have supported me. I especially want to thank all of the Jewish people that have been in the comments saying how outraged they are. And I know that it is especially difficult for you guys right now because you are being smeared, you know? I mean, I'm not gonna go away.
I'm not gonna go away.